Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, my dear distinguished guests and viewers from all around the globe, welcome to Imam Hussein TV Online. Imam Hussein TV Online. My name is Ali Fadhil. I'll be your host for the remainder of the 9 nights or so before the birth of our awaited Savior, Imam al-Mahdi, Ajallahu Ta'ala Farajahu Sharif. The aim and the purpose of these small sessions every evening is essentially to gain an insight into the nitty-gritty details of what makes a certain professional within the recitation or the speaker or the poetry or the public figure, what makes them really tick, what lessons can we learn from their day-to-day life in order for us to take into our lives as well. So yeah, that's the whole aim of today, and inshallah for the remaining of the nights. It is a light session, however you can see that I have my my headphones on, and I do have a pen and paper, and so it is a bit of a detailed discussion, as well as a more of a light-hearted discussion regarding a person's personal and professional life as well. So to kick-start our series of Light Your Night, to kick-start the series, we're joined by a dear friend of mine, who I had the pleasure to meet a couple of years ago up north. So I live in London, the UK. I met him up north near the Manchester and Bolton area. But since then, I've always been quite inspired and also in awe of his development over the last couple of years, and where he is today. And so I'd love to welcome to the show Sayyid Ali Al-Hakeem to the show, inshallah. I'm sure you can hear me and see me. Sayyid Ali, assalamu alaikum. Yeah, we're doing very, very well. How's things your end? Before we start with the details regarding your obviously your professional life, how's things your end? How's isolation going?
Yeah, well, isolation, it's a bit tricky because obviously you're used to the whole 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, well, 9 to 6 really. But now it's a bit different because you wake up and you can't really leave the house. So you have to make a new routine, which spans about 9, 10-ish till to the end of the day, really. So it is tricky, but it's a blessing from Allah, and it's opened up many doors for us to actually utilize this time in getting closer to Allah Subhanahu wa Taala.
Fantastic. Yeah, I definitely agree. There's a lot of discussion being going on where a lot of people are saying that we can actually take a bit of a time out from the hustle and bustle of 9 to 5 and our day-to-day work to really focus on what's important in our lives, i.e. family, i.e. religion, i.e. connections with our family members. I personally have more time to spend with my kids and my wife and some of my extended family who I am okay to visit. And so yeah, it's a time where we can reflect upon our lives. Sayyid. So that's great to hear that you're doing well. So I thought for today's session, Sayyid, we did speak about this briefly, but for the benefit of the viewers, I thought today what essentially the theme of our discussion is. Look, you're a well-known reciter. People invite you to recite poetry regarding the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam, be it in a celebration or be it in a more mournful or a sad atmosphere. And so I'd love to find out, and I'm sure the viewers would too as well. I'd love to find out what are the exact steps that you take from invitation, Salam Sayyid Ali, we'd like you to come and recite for us, to all the way to you finished from the pulpit, you've come down. What is the mindset? What is the thought process that you go through? So look, first and foremost, I'd love to get a bit of a background regarding yourself, from a professional perspective, how long you've been in the recitation world, and yeah, just give us a brief background regarding yourself, Sayyid.
Yeah, sure thing. So I started reciting at the age of 10. My dad, he is a Quran reciter and a Radud, a reciter for the Ahlul Bayt. He came to the UK around the age of 17, and then there was a demand for Arabic Aza. My dad, he carried on what he started in Iraq. His dad was Mu'ammam, and so was his dad, etc. So they have that kind of atmosphere of remembrance of the Ahl al-Bayt. Then, obviously, when we were children, we'd go to the mosque and listen to this Aza, naturally being inspired. Obviously, a big influence was Mullah Basim, which was for everyone, I think, well, most people. And after that, picked it up from the age of 10, initially starting off in the language of Arabic. And then there was a demand in English. We switched to English. Of course, English, I think, yourself being the pioneer, so it was an easy transaction to switch from Arabic to English, obviously seeing how you utilize syllables in poetry by using different tones. Perhaps we started initially by using some Arabic tunes, and then adaptation allowed us to create new tunes that kind of adapt more for the English crowd. And that's from about the age of 10, from the age of about 12 to 13 till about 17. I was just really based in Manchester. And then as the years progressed, we started to develop. We did some recording in Iraq for some studio work, which we publicized. And then after that, we went to recite in different places around the UK, as well as Kuwait and America and things like that, which it's natural development from that aspect of recitation that a person tries and strives for. In terms of the what my mind process goes from the beginning till the end.
Yeah, so just to give you a bit of context regarding that. So first and foremost, what I'd love to find out from yourself is that as soon as you get that invitation, what is it that you're thinking? What's the first thought process that goes through your mind?
Yeah, so obviously first thought process, the most important thing is to have a healthy atmosphere on the day. So I need to make sure that the speaker that's been invited is a speaker that is a speaker of mainstream speaker and not radicalized, perhaps, let's say, because there are these things in everywhere, really. So we have to be on the safeguard that we're not associated with the taghut. So that's the first and foremost. So that's before I say the okay. I also look at the details of the invitation, when it's going to happen, if I'm available. Of course, natural tendencies is to want to go because we consider this an invitation from Allah, the Ahl al-Bayt, with a humble offering for us to go and try and recite. If the availability is, sometimes it's difficult. Or for example, you're on Sunday, you have to drive down to London, and you got work Monday morning, and you know you can do it, but you're gonna be a bit tired. So then you question yourself: is that going to compromise my work? Is that right Islamically to compromise your work? But then with assistance with a Red Bull, kind of allows a person to carry on his journey. That tends to help. 100%. Not that I'm advocating Red Bull, rather it's just something that can assist, or coffee, whatnot. I'm a bit allergic to coffee. Anyway, so then based on that, we see if we can go and recite, and inshallah most of the time it is a yes. And then we go on to the preparation of the nasheed. Now, if the invitation is like in 2 months' time, I don't really need to think about it as much. But if it's nearby, what I tend to do is I have on my phone an app which I store any tune that comes to my mind.
Fantastic.
It's called Voice Plus, sorry. And any tune that I have that comes to mind, I tend to record it. So then, because I obviously we forget. Tunes, they originate from listening to other people, and then you start playing around with that tune and you make it into something that becomes something completely different. That for me is the easiest way. Utilizing whilst you're in the shower. Apparently, somebody told me this, that whilst you're in the shower, creativity comes, whether it's because of the echo or otherwise. People say it's because of the hot water that streams down on your head. It releases some kind of chemicals which increases the creativity side of the brain. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. But it seems to work. But then quite often you find yourself running out of the bathroom to record the track, so you don't forget it. which is
So you
like
just hate it when you've got this killer tune in your mind, and you're thinking, I know I'm going to forget this,
yeah,
but you try so hard to remember it, but it totally goes, and you're really heartbroken when you can't forget it. But yeah, thanks.
that's it. No, that definitely does
So
happen.
Voice Plus.
Voice Plus. I don't know if they still have it on the App Store. I downloaded it many years ago,
Mm.
but I've still got it. And that I've got everything is dating back for God knows how long. And you just record it, and I give it a little title, whatever it might be, and whatever you think that tune can be suitable for which occasion. Quite often, the case you find the tunes can be used both in Aza and Nasheeds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we can get onto that quite later on. Actually, that's quite an interesting topic regarding melodies and how they crisscross between celebration and also mourning. But yeah, okay. So from what I gathered, it's first and foremost you look at the speaker, you see, for example, if it's fit for purpose, and then you look at the details of the invite, for example, how far away it is and whether it's going to compromise on your personal work. But then the next step is to actually think of the tune. And so what makes you look at a particular program and think this tune is going to fit with them?
Sure. So it depends on the culture and the mosques, and the way that they deliver their sermons, the way that they deliver their speeches, their recitations, and I try and fit in to accommodate for them. For example, the Pakistani brothers, they tend to, if it's on a nasheed basis, you always need to mention Imam Ali, which we should do anyway, but they love it.
100%.
So,
Yeah,
and that,
100%.
I think it should be applied. So you tend to squish in a lot of dhikr Imam Ali, and they tend to like the one-liners. So then the Nara Haidaris come out, and you know it creates a great blessed atmosphere. So we tend to focus on that. Now some centers they don't really advocate for clapping, so you accommodate. You can still do the same nasheed, but without the clapping. So you just avoid the clapping. Exactly. Sometimes you forget, and then it becomes awkward. And then sometimes
yeah. When you're trying to get people to do the clapping and everyone's just looking to the side and thinking, no.
It's the worst. It is the worst. But the thing is, it's quite, at the same time, it's a bit difficult to deal with because you hope that there's that sense of community and love for Nasheed, which there is a lot, but not everywhere, which we can work on, inshallah. So yeah, Pakistanis are like that. With the Iraqi mosques, they tend to be a lot more classic, use the Arabic tunes whilst also instilling Arabic. I tend to try and focus on English, but they always like Arabic. So I do include Arabic because we're able to speak Arabic. I don't focus on Arabic, but it is included. And they tend to obviously like the clapping and the fast ones, the slow ones, the melodious, the mawal, which is the beginning before the clapping. It tends to be a lot more elongating of certain words, and on certain, like for example, if you're going to mention the word Rasulullah, you elongate that word and emphasize on it to create the imagery that this signifies more importance compared to the rest of the words. So by playing with the words, you can emphasize more things. But a lot of the centers these days, they tend to be multicultural, and this is where you try and find something that's a bit more accommodating for the English-speaking audience. How you do that is by using the tunes which are a bit more up-to-date without compromising on Islamic belief, of course, but you can use things which are acceptable to get the crowd involved. These crowds, the poetry, they tend to like very detailed, sophisticated kind of poetry that has a lot of depth and meaning. For example, the Pakistanis also it has meaning, but they like praising the Imam. Whereas these centers, which are more multicultural, they like the detailed, technical imagery and the personifications and the use of the English language. They really like that, so we'll try and focus on that. So that's the selection of the nasheeds and how we go about it.
Fantastic. Okay, and so that's a selection of the nasheed. How about your mindset as you're approaching the day? What changes from day to day, or is it maybe how early do you start preparing for the event?
Yeah. So on the event, some people they tend to like certain nasheeds. So if I've already got one that's prepared from a while back, I don't really need to prepare as much because I know what I'm doing. However, if it's a new tune, if it's a new nasheed, then you obviously requires preparation dependent on what you're trying to go for, really. So for example, you can be preparing a couple of days before. It could be a couple of weeks before. No longer than that, really. Before initially, when we first started, it did take quite a bit of time to get yourself going and getting the right tunes going. But now, obviously, with the more that you do it, the easier it becomes. So it reminds me of one day, actually. We had a day where I wasn't even meant to do a nasheed or anything. It was actually Azza Fatimiyya Majlis. And I wasn't even planning anything. I was doing some kind of like little workshop for the children. And they're like, all right, adult program upstairs now. Their reciter's not come. I'm like, I could have said no, but I knew that I had a tune and I knew that I had lyrics because my sister was with me and she writes poetry. So I thought, let's see if we can make this happen. So literally, whilst on stage, I was starting off with the whole Ya Hussein, Ya Zahra initials while she was writing the poem. And then she texted me whilst on stage. And then we just recited it there and then. So
really?
So the delivery of that particular performance is questionable, but
no, I'm sure. The thing is, a lot of us with the experience that we have, essentially, it's you can sometimes just get a poem and just do something really ad hoc there and there, without you struggle a bit. Of course, it needs a bit more thought, but sometimes you are in a position where you can leverage off your experience and your expertise in this particular field. And I think that's probably what you did there, didn't you?
Well, yeah, I think that we did have to utilize our skill set that we've developed 100%. Otherwise, it would have been a nightmare.
Yeah.
But anyway, that tends to be the time period that we tend to prepare for a couple of days to a couple of weeks. On the day, the night before, I have a kind of routine that I do. So the night before, I open up the vocals in preparation for the day. If I open up the vocals on the same day, it compromises the actual voice performance on the day. So I tend to do it the night before. How I do it is a very strange way of doing it, but basically you have to scream air, so whilst the air brushes against your throat, it opens up the chords, so the next day you can play around with and fluctuate a lot more compared to on the day. Now, you can do it while screaming, but you've got neighbours, so you have to tend to get a pillow and then let it go there. It sounds a bit like do you know how people when they're possessed and they have to get the jinn out? It sounds like that.
Yeah.
But it works because the next day it's beautiful. Obviously, you have to warm up a bit of hot water, not hot, warm water.
Warm water, yeah.
That's it. Ginger powder is fantastic on the day. So we're going to the day in the morning. A bit of warm tea, a bit of ginger powder. That tends to make things work really, really well. Warm water, if it's hot, it affects it. And you have to avoid anything that's too hot or too cold. It's always warm. And then, obviously, it comes down. Now, I tend to have a group of guys that I go with to Majalis. Not always, but if guys are free, we used to be a lot more free before, but now because they're all working, it's a bit more tricky. But we do try as much as we can. One car, all the lads jump in, and then we go to the majlis. It's a nice atmosphere. This guy's listening to Lapmuya, this guy's talking about his problem. So it's a community atmosphere. That genuinely, it provides a bit of motivation, a bit of excitement for the day. If you're on your own, obviously you have Allah and the Ahlul Bayt, but we have the concept of brotherhood with you whilst you got your friends with you.
Fantastic. What role do they play when they're actually with you? Do they actually play a particular role? I mean, do they, for example, support you, help you, or is it just come to the majlis because of the brotherhood aspect?
Oh no, they are helpful from every aspect. So from the aspect of moral support, from the aspect of practice, as well as on the way on the journey we practice together. Whilst we're there, if it's a nasheed day, if clapping's not allowed, they tend to do the loud salawats. If there is clapping allowed, they're the ones who end up with red hands towards the end of the day. And if it's azat, they're the ones who are getting people forming the circle, forming the lines. They're very active. And I personally feel like their job is more important than the reciter job. Because they're the ones who are creating the atmosphere in the remembrance of the Ahlul Bayt. And in fact, they're the ones who get other people inspired. Because not everyone wants to recite, But most people, because if you look at the ratio, you have like 1 to 50 or 1 to 100 compared to reciter to Azza crowd. So most people you'll find in these kind of activities are just the crowd. So very rarely the people who are involved are the reciters, but most people are the crowd, and that's why you have the people who support are the ones who tend to have that job. So they have a very important role.
Fantastic, fantastic. And I think, okay, so we've reached the stage where we've understood the thought process that you go through as a reciter, and it's really, really valuable stuff, all the way from assessing the culture of the mosque that you go to, so the particular poetry that's selected is well thought of, and then you're going up to all the way to the actual melody itself. So what languages you use, and is it going to be upbeat, or is it going to be slow? Is it going to be melodic? Is it going to be more of a mawal situation? And then there's a bit of a routine. So I'd love to find out a bit more about this, the routine. So when you open up the vocals, what if it's Muharram? How does that affect you then? Because of course you're exhausting your voice every single night, and not allowing it to rest. So what tips do you have, or what process do you have in order to maintain that level of performance on a night by night perspective?
So for Muharram, the nights before the first night, you do the vocal training. After that, the performance itself is sufficient for the next day vocals. So you don't need to do any more training. So the day when you recite, that's considered your vocal training for the next day. So
okay.
So you don't need to add on more to it, because otherwise you'll start damaging your throat and it'll go off by the sixth night. Also, I forgot to mention, on the day of recitation, have a good breakfast and then don't eat after that. Because then you'll feel uncomfortable if you're going to recite if you eat the time before. So that's also a tip for that 100%.
One. Okay.
Yeah.
And I was going to ask, a lot of the time reciters, do you feel like you hold back in the first 2 or 3 nights when it comes to not energy, because energy is always there, but in terms of maybe hitting high notes or maybe putting a lot of emphasis into words and melodies? Do you maybe hold back in the first couple of days because you think maybe I need to save my voice for the remainder of the nights?
No, it's definitely a very, very good point. With how much you release, I tend to just base it on the crowd and what's happening. If I feel like the crowd are receiving this, I tend to go with it, to accommodate for what's happening. In terms of going for the really high notes, I tend to leave that for the night of Ashura, the night before Ashura.
Because I've made a couple of mistakes early in my career, and I've gone all out, and the whole passion, and it really does kind of get hold of you, especially in the first 2-3 nights, and I don't know why the nights that we have for Muharram, for example, Alila is quite a sad night, and it's quite a passionate night, and Al-Banin are in the beginning, and so you feel like you have to give it justice, and you have to give your all, every ounce of energy and passion that you have. And then so what happens is by the 5th, 6th night, you've more or less exhausted your energy, and the amount of voice that you can actually put out, and so that's maybe a good tip in terms of being able to maintain that just a bit, just hold on.
To be honest, holding back, you're actually, the way that you beautifully said, holding back in terms of going full out, you're actually giving more justice to the members of the Ahlul Bayt, because then you're not compromising the other members of the Ahlul Bayt. So 100%, fully with you on that one.
Okay, so the scenario is they've just called out your name. Okay, you're sitting within the crowd, and now we welcome Sayyid Al-Hakeem to the podium. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, so to be honest, I don't really think of anything really. Before, when I was a kid, I used to be a bit nervous and things like that. Now I don't really think of anything. It's just that I'm gonna just go off and do the job. I do think that if the eyes are on you, you have to represent Ahlul Bayt. That I do think of that. You can't, if you're doing some kind of service in whatever field, even it be Quran or otherwise, you're representing the Ahlul Bayt. Representation has a lot of responsibility, so a person can't be doing things like this yet openly doing things which are against the followings of the Ahlul Bayt. So it's a full holistic thing. So as soon as I'm going up towards the member, I have to realize that no, this is the service of the Ahlul Bayt, and to be honest, this should be carried on even off the member. And then obviously, you're hoping for a decent sound system. Quite
Oh
often
wow.
it's not decent, but you do with what you can, and you just try and
Oh, the many nights that we've had, but really bad sound systems, eh?
Habibi, at least you've had sound system. I've one time went to a wedding invitation. It was a wedding, a blessed wedding. They didn't have a microphone, and it was 200 people.
Oh
They
wow.
said, sorry, we forgot the microphone. I went home. That's bad. Inshallah, Allah rewards them anyway.
Inshallah, inshallah. Yeah, you know, mic plays a massive role. So okay, let's just say you've seen the mic. What do you do? How do you adapt?
Yeah, so microphone, you just go on to, if it's a member, you just stand on the first step, or if you feel like it's not really a massive, if you don't need to see everyone, if there's only a couple of people around you, you can just stand on the floor. Adjusting the microphone, that also is a tricky one, because sometimes it falls, sometimes they've got little tape on it, and then that flaps around everywhere. And then that's also tricky. So if I'm struggling, I tend to look around, and then that's indications for somebody, please come and help.
Help,
But,
yeah.
but with a majority of Pakistani centers, they tend to just do the beginning for you. Yeah, Hussein, yeah, they get it.
Yeah.
You don't need to do much, so that's helpful. And then of course, your mind's on the poem. Your mind's on, I can't go too high and I can't go too low, because if I go too high, then if I need to go even higher on the actual verses, then you're off tune. And that's obviously comes down to practice, which is why I have to practice a few days before. But then after that, it's more of just trying to get the crowd involved. And you're trying to make the 2D nasheed or morning poem into 3D. How do we do that? Is by the performance itself. So you have to get involved with the poem. If a person doesn't believe in the poem, then it's not going to come out, because I think in one of the hadiths it says that which comes out from one heart enters the heart of another person. You have to believe in it, and then that's when you're looking at the poem, explaining it to somebody, looking at this person, these kind of things.
Okay. So maintaining eye contact, repeating certain verses that what I call bingo lines that will hit home, in order to make it a bit more three-dimensional.
Okay, no, 100% bingo. Also, in terms of looking at the piece of paper, so I'm in the field of optometry, so I know how the eyes work. So what I've devised a technique where you don't get distracted from the words that you read. How you do it is, you've got it's called accommodation of the eye muscles. So you hold a piece of paper, which tends to be about 40 centimeters. You can measure it, you can figure it out yourself. And then at 40 centimeters, the eye is comfortable for the people who are not presbyopic, which means below the age of 40. Your eyes don't get weaker, so you can accommodate to see the small prints. When you hit about 40, you get weak, you have to wear glasses, or you have to take them off, or all sorts of things. So anyway, we're okay at this age, and whilst you're looking at the paper, now if you're looking at the crowd, sometimes you get distracted by the crowd. So when you come back, you don't know where you're up to. So what I do is, I keep my eye muscles accommodated for the distance of 40 centimeters. So when you look at the crowd, you can still see them, but they're a bit blurry. But you can still see what's going on. So that way, when you come back, your eyes don't need to refocus on the paper. It's already focused at that distance.
Oh, I see. That's very smart. Okay, and how do you train yourself to do that?
Just do it. There's not much difficulty.
All right.
Look at the piece of paper and then go straight away, and it's blurry. Don't focus. Don't try and any of that. Just keep it focused, and that way you've bought yourself extra time to look at people.
What's that term called?
It's just
accommodation
of the eye muscles. That's all that it's called. So that way you've bought yourself more time to look at the audience, because you don't need as much time to focus on the paper again.
Okay.
So that's just a little trick.
That's fantastic. Well, there you go, dear viewers. We've combined science now with recitation. If anyone thought we couldn't do that, and we're unsophisticated people, you got to listen to Sayyid Al-Hakeem here. He's giving you science now. Come on, guys. That's brilliant. Okay, so that's the recitation side done. And last couple of points now before we wrap up, Sayyid. What happens to your thought process after? What's the review process, should we say?
Well, the review process, how it tends to work is from a spiritual as well as performance basis. Before, obviously, we go to recite, we tend to make a dua, asking Allah to purify our intentions. We're asking Allah for the Ahlul Bayt to be present in that majlis, because they do say that, for example, Fatima Zahra salamullah alayha attends certain majalis, if not all the purified majalis. So it has to start with purifying yourself first. So before the majlis, I have a routine. Well, I'm trying to adapt to a routine where it's just you by yourself, and you make a dua. You ask Allah to bring the Ahlul Bayt to the recitation or whatever it might be. So afterwards, I tend to go back to that and see. Oh, I hope the Ahlul Bayt were present. We try to do the best we can. So that's from a spiritual aspect. From a performance aspect, just look at the video later on, see what went wrong. It tends to be always positive, constructive criticism of yourself. I personally feel like the best person to criticize myself is myself. Of course, I always welcome the advice of anyone who knows that field. I tend to avoid getting advice from people who don't know this field, because then the advice, I don't know if it's legitimate, but I ask people who are around me, my friends who are involved in these kind of things, and then pick up new tips for the next time. Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. Well, look, Said, I mean, when I did say bring it up to a wrap, I didn't mean your segment. I just meant the theory behind what you do, and you've given us a fantastic insight into the step-by-step guide, essentially. And I'd love for the channel to really cut this particular segment and share this to people. Look, this is your step-by-step guide into becoming a reciter, essentially. So that fantastic insight and real value into the world of recitations. Really want to thank you for your time on that as well. And look, let's put it into practice, Sayed. I'd love to hear your voice and see what particular poetry that you've chosen for us today.
No, Habibi, it's a blessing, and thank you for welcoming me to share these viewpoints, as well as yourself, who is very, very well experienced reciter that although many reciters can benefit from. So this is a recitation from the love of Maulana Ali Al-Akbar. My sister Fatima Al-Hakeem has written it. This is just as if Imam Hussein speaks from first person, praising Ali Al-Akbar by utilizing what's in his surroundings. This tune, of course, is just a tune that is a bit more Arabic classic, but we try to go more towards modern tunes, inshallah. مولاي علي الأكبر مولاي علي الأكبر مولاي علي الأكبر مولاي علي الأكبر. I look to the stars, Ali, they seem far, with little lights, little lights. But then my son, God gave me my own star. It's broke the dark, lighten the night. My son Ali, the stars would then say. My son Ali, the stars would then say, our king has arrived, what a holy day. Mawlai Ali Al-Akbar, Mawlai Ali Al-Akbar, Mawlai Ali Al-Akbar, Mawlai Ali Al-Akbar. I then took you and showed you to the sun. This is my newborn, this is my newborn. It would shyly say, I will not return, will brighten the sky, the rays of your sun. My duty as light here has been done. My duty as light here has been done. Oh dear Ali Al-Akbar, come and welcome Mawlai Ali Al-Akbar, Mawlai Ali Al-Akbar, Mawlai Ali Al-Akbar, Mawlai Ali Al-Akbar. The air would rejoice, would blow a soft breeze. The flowers would sway, the flowers would sway. The whole would now stop, bow down with the trees. Salam they would say, salam they would say. In the air I heard your praises sang. In the air I heard your praises sang. Within each atom your name it would hang. Mawlai Ali Al-Akbar, Mawlai Ali Al-Akbar, Mawlai Ali Al-Akbar, Mawlai Ali Akbar. The oceans would rise, the waves would collide, as though they're clapping, as though they're clapping. They'd call, oh Arthur, our joy we can't hide. We're too celebrating, we're too celebrating. They'd say the moon controls our tides. They'd say the moon controls our tides. Hussein, our moon, in your arm he lies. Mawla Ali Akbar, Mawla Ali Akbar, Mawla Ali Akbar, Mawla Ali Akbar. The universe's hearts would pump so fast, uncontrollably, uncontrollably. It didn't do this for the kings that passed. My dear son Ali, my dear son Ali. So no wonder filled each blood vessel for your a leader that is so special. Mawla Ali Akbar, Mawla Ali Akbar, Mawla Ali Akbar, Mawla Ali Akbar. All of us know this. It is nothing new. It's written there in Ziyarat Ashur. All of us know how great a gift are you. They give us their love, a love that's so true. They'd send each of their blessings upon me. Then to you, my son, oh my dear Ali, Mawla Ali Akbar, Mawla Ali Akbar, Mawla Ali Akbar, Mawla Ali Akbar. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. ممنون من عندك سيدة. Thank you so much for that. Actually, you're right in terms of the bit of a more modern approach. I can definitely hear the tones of a modern melody there. So that was fantastic. Well done. Well done. Thank you so much for your time. It is late in the UK, and we want to thank you, and also wish you all the best in the weeks to come, and the months to come as well, because they are strange times now, especially for a reciter. And so hopefully there is a solution to the situation very, very soon, and everyone can get back to normality. Any last words, Sayed?
Well, I'd like to thank the channel for the excellent work. You know, of course yourself, Mullah Ali, you're a pioneer in this, and may Allah continue to bless you and your family in the remembrance of the Ahlul Bayt. They say that the Shia of Al Muhammad will be collected together, the true Shia collected together in the seventh heaven, alongside the tree of Tawbah, which is the tree which helps. So inshallah, all the people who praise the Ahlul Bayt like yourself are in the highest of stages. May you continue to inspire everyone, and all the recites continue to inspire all the mu'mineen and mu'minat for the remembrance of the Ahlul Bayt.
Very well said. Ajma'een, thank you so much for your time, Sayyid. Really, really appreciate it. Thank you. Just for the viewers, we are going on a very, very small break, just a minute or two. When we're back, inshallah, we will commence the first of 9 nights of a daily quiz to keep you on your toes, a bit of a thought, food for thought, essentially, in this late night or early morning or afternoon, depending where you are. So please bear with us. Just a couple of minutes. We'll be back with the quiz. Thank you.
We all have a duty towards the preservation and the propagation of the message of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Indeed, one of the best ways to work towards the reappearance of Imam al-Mahdi Ajjalallahu Ta'ala Farajul Sharif is through promoting the values of Karbala. Imam Hussein Media Group is the only Shia television network that broadcasts globally in 5 different languages: Arabic, Farsi, Turkish, Urdu, and English. We are appealing to the lovers of Imam Hussein alayhi salam worldwide to support the channel such that it may continue its global operations. Imam Hussein Media Group is seeking 1,000 partners to pledge to a £14 contribution per month. This will allow the channel to sustain its operating costs as we continue to spread the message of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam in multiple languages across the globe. You be a part of this great legacy and donate today. You can pledge in two ways. www.imamhussein3.tv/donate will take you direct to our donation page where you can pledge monthly. Or you can call or WhatsApp us on 0044 793 9917163. Imam Hussein TV, your gateway to Karbala.
Well, I don't even know if it's halal or haram. Bro, you know.
Welcome back, dear viewers of Imam Hussein TV, to Light Your Nights with me, Ali Fadhil. A nightly show, a light-hearted show, a discussion essentially with professionals in the religious world. So basically reciters, raduds, reciters, poets, public speakers, lecturers, as well as public figures as well. And from my perspective, a recitation more of the art side, what we're looking at essentially is to understand a bit more about what makes them tick. What is it about their lives? What do they do on a day-to-day basis, essentially, that we can learn from and we can gain lessons from. So everything from when they receive that invitation all the way to their thought process, what they think about, what particular poems or particular topics they think about, and why are they thinking about these particular topics, for example, until they actually deliver that presentation. So you've just listened to Sayyid Al-Hakeem, who's my first guest for the nights. In the remaining nights, inshallah, we'll reveal who will be on the show. We will also have, for the next 10-15 minutes or so, essentially a quiz. So a bit of a light-hearted, take your seat, sit back in your seat, relax, get a glass of tea, a cup of tea, and just some thought-provoking questions on there. Just to let you know, the prize, it's not something big, but it's something small that we can offer from the channel. Is a turab from Karbala, so dust from Karbala, that you can use for the Shifa of Karbala, essentially. So these are the prizes that are on offer. Please do call in, and the number on your screen, 07916 610 806. You will come directly to me on my phone here, and then we'll put you on loudspeaker, and then you'll be live on the show. It's a series of 10 questions. You have a minute to answer all 10, and then they are mixed. So it's a mix of religion as well as general knowledge. So it's religion and general knowledge questions. So by the time So yeah, the lines are open. Ladies and gentlemen, dear viewers, lines are open, so please do call in. We're waiting for our first caller to maybe come in. There we go. Right on cue. Assalamu alaikum. Hello. Hello, salam. Sorry, who am I speaking to? You've called Ali Fadhil. This is the Lights Your Night show.
Yes, I've been watching on Instagram.
Fantastic.
You are speaking to Yasser?
Brilliant. What's your full name, Yasser, please?
Yasser Mansour.
Yasser Mansour. Fantastic. How old are you, Yasser, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm 15.
Brilliant. Cool. So Yasser, yeah, so you know how this works. It's essentially, I ask you 10 questions, and then you'll find out, these 10 questions, by the way, are a mix of general knowledge as well as Islamic questions. And then, see how much you can finish in 1 minute. Your time will start, Yasser, when I finish the first question, okay? All right, cool. So, you ready? Yalla, bismillah. So, first question is, what is the first surah ever to be revealed?
The first surah to ever be revealed is Al-Alaq.
Yep, okay. So, second question, both Sir Edward Elgar and Adam Smith have featured on which British banknote?
Can I skip?
Yeah, of course. What was the name of the father of Rasulullah?
The father of Rasulullah, his name was Abdullah.
Which ranks higher in the Royal Navy, captain or commander?
Commander.
Okay. How were the caliphs Harun and Ma'mun related?
Cousins.
Okay. The historical novel Wolf Hall, which won the Booker Prize in 2009, was written by which author? Okay. And last question, I think, for the minute is, how old was the Prophet when he married Khadija?
How old was the Prophet when Khadija? I believe he was. Muhammad 52 was Khadija. I'll say maybe 20, 21.
Okay, all right, fantastic. Well, look, we've taken your answers. I'm not going to tell you if it's right or wrong now, but we'll find out. We'll find out at the end of the show in about 10-15 minutes or so if you have won. All right, Yasser. But thank you so much for your time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, bye.
Brilliant. Bye bye. So just to let you know, guys, if you do call in, you might, if you call in, if it doesn't answer, just check when the person's going to finish the call and finish the quiz, and then call again. That way you'll come through straight to me. Okay? So please do, once again, call it, guys. So that was Yasser. As you can see, there is a mix of questions. I'm going to go through the answers so that you are aware. So question number 1 was, what was the first surah to be revealed? It was indeed Surah Al-Alaq, Surah 96, the embryo or the clot. So Sir Edward Elgar and Adam Smith have both featured on a British banknote. Which one? It is the £20 note. Okay. What was the name of the father of Rasulullah? His name was Abdullah. What ranks higher in the Royal Navy? Either a captain or a commander. Indeed, it's captain. The caliphs Harun and Ma'mun, how were they related? They were related by being brothers. So they were brothers. The same dad, same father, but different mother. Okay, so they were stepbrothers. The historical novel Wolf Hall, which won the Booker Prize in 2009, was written by which author? It was Hilary Mantel. And we got to the question of how old was the Prophet when he married Khadija? He was 25 years old. 25 years old. So we're just waiting for the next caller to call in. That person that did call, number ending 751. If you want to call again, sorry we missed it. No. Oh, actually, yeah, here they are. Okay. Assalamu alaikum.
Hello. Wa alaikum salam.
Hi, you're through to the Light Our Night show with Ali Fadhil. How are you?
Good, alhamdulillah. How are you?
Not too bad, not too bad. Thank you very much. How's isolation going?
Good, alhamdulillah.
Good. I didn't actually quite get your name. Sorry. What's your full name?
Oh, I'm a different caller.
To?
But my name is Amir Reza.
Oh, right. Okay, cool. Amir Reza. Fantastic. Amir Reza, thank you so much for your time. You know how this works, right? So in terms of the quiz, I'll ask you a set of questions. You have 1 minute to answer them. The questions range from Islamic to general knowledge.
Okay.
Okay? Cool. So, your time, essentially, the 60 seconds will start as soon as I finish the first question. The first question is, Amir Reza, what is the full name of the city of Medina?
Is it?
You can pass, by the way, to save you some time.
Yeah, pass.
All right, cool. So, Leodis was the Roman name for which modern city? In England.
Pass.
Okay. Who was the founder of the city of Mecca?
Pass.
What would you commonly use ethylene glycol in a car for?
You know what?
What would you commonly use ethylene glycol in a car? What would you use it for?
Petrol.
All right. So the holy book Zabur is known as what in English?
The what?
The holy book Zabur is known as what in English?
Oh.
I want to thank him for his time. Cool. So I'm going to go through some answers, and I think we'll draw for a close for today. We'll keep the show as promised an hour long, and we'll hopefully open it up more for the quiz, inshallah, tomorrow. Look, to be honest with you guys, the emphasis is a lot on the discussions that we're having. Very, very intriguing discussions. Tomorrow we have a bit of a surprise as well, and so hopefully we look forward to that. So the answers for the questions that we just gave to Amir Reza are essentially, what is the full name of the city of Medina? The full name is Medina to Nebi. So Medina el Nebi, the city of the Prophet. Leodis was the Roman name for which modern city? It's Leeds in England. Who was the founder of the city of Mecca? Prophet Ibrahim or Prophet Ismail. What would you commonly use ethylene glycol in a car for? Antifreeze would be the answer. The holy book Zabur is known as what in English? It's the book of Psalms. What is the highest number used in a Sudoku puzzle? The number is 9. And there was a couple more questions as well I'll give you as well for the benefit. How many prophets are mentioned in the Quran? How many prophets do you think are mentioned in the Quran? 25 prophets are mentioned. Which English queen has the same name as a type of plum? And it's Victoria. What was the name of the Prophet's mother? Prophet Muhammad's mother. Her name is Amina bint Wahab. And what is a female deer called? As the last question, the female deer is called a doe. Okay, so that brings our program to an end. Just to recap what we discussed today, brothers and sisters, and dear viewers of Imam Hussein TV, in Light Our Night program with myself, Ali Fadhil. Essentially, the whole aim of the program is to get a key insight into the lifestyle and the thought process behind a reciter or a public figure, specifically within the arts field of Islam. So we're looking at speakers, we're looking at public figures, we're looking at poets and reciters for the following nights, and I'm going to be quizzing them regarding what their thought process is exactly from the moment they get the invitation all the way to the end, when they finish the program itself. And the reason why I'm doing this is because it's all well to get an understanding of, you know, what inspired them. We know that the Ahlul Bayt inspires them. And we know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is watching, and we know that Allah inspires us as well. But I'd love to get from more of a practical sense in terms of the day-to-day style and day-to-day stuff. What do they think? How do they particularly choose a type of poem or a melody or a topic? So these are the discussions that we're having. All in all, it's been great listening to you all. Many thanks for your attention and your audience and your ears and your eyes. And so hopefully we'll see you tomorrow, same time at 10:30. Imam Hussein TV. You can follow us on social media to know exactly where to find the programs. There's a lot that's going on the channel, and so we're preparing a lot for Ramadan. So rest assured, Corona and the situation with Corona hasn't slowed us down. So hopefully we're going to have full content for you from now until Ramadan, inshallah. Okay. So with that, I bid you a good evening, or a good morning, or a good afternoon, depending on where you are with the world. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
بالسما هلال خط الفرحة مرسال مولد 5 أبطال مولد كربلائي زين بالسما هلال خط الفرحة مرسال مولد 5 أبطال مولد كربلائي يا قلبي طاير من ضلوعي أسرع من دموعي يحكي عن موضوعي لحسيني من صدق حبيته قلبي يشبه بيته وانا زاير جيته وبشعبان شعوبان ضوى الدنيا خده حول الزهرة بهده هذا حسين بينه وبين الله شقد موده عقل التاهي والله راسي يدور والفه امشي وبيا لهفه لاهل البيت فطر سجد جنحي يريد يشفى تدري الخيمة والماي سيد كربلاء الجاي عندهن هالمسا وياي مولد كربلاء زين بالسما هلال خط الفرحة مرسال مولد 5 أبطال مولد كربلائي زين بالسما هلال خط الفرحة مرسال مولد 5 أبطال مولد كربلائي والثاني المقترن بنفاسي باسمه رافع راسي فأنا العباسي شفوفه ما ردت ينطيني خير تارس عيني هو المربيني وبدنياي عاش وياي انا زوجه كامل ارسم يا ابو فاضل حيدر بيه ومربيه حلال المشاكل الكرار وارث صاري معنى وثباته من اول حياته حيدر قال هالكفال يكتفل خواته عباس الميادين تربيتهم والبنين فرحة قلب الحسين مولد كربلائي بالسما هلال خط الفرحة مرسال مولد 5 أبطال مولد كربلائي زين بالسما هلال خط الفرحة مرسال مولد 5 أبطال مولد كربلائي الثالث قلبي غنى ونادى ويفجر ميلاده هلا بزين السادة سبحانه خالقه سبحانه جمع كل احسانه وانبت بوجدانه السجاد والعباد كلها تظل وراءه ما يرضع رجائه يدعي هواي لاني بهاي الله يحب دعائه نهر احساس وعلى الناس شفش قد تصدق يشهد للفرج دم ابن الزهراء والبطحاء تعرف وطئة الحق يشهد للحق